Hey everybody, this is Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Meltzner.
And I'm rereading Harry Potter before his birthday on the 31st in preparation for the new one.
And your ears got pierced. You
Yeah, my
got
ears
new
got
new
pierced too.
piercings. And you're watching episode 91 of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast. What are we talking about today, Victoria?
You're talking about the season 2 of the Adventures in Odyssey Club.
Odyssey Adventure Club?
Yeah, that too. Soundtrack.
Yes.
So
Oh boy, I love these so much, and it's so exciting. I remember I was beyond elated last
I
year when they
remember.
announced the first one. It's so great. We have a moderate amount of news to talk about before we get started. So obviously by now I think everyone with the OAC should know that the Boat People parts 1 and 2 are the episodes for July and August, because part 1's already been out for half a month
Have you
now.
listened to part 1 yet?
I have not, no, because I haven't listened to Things Not Seen yet either. So, but Things Not Seen is actually part of our news items today. Album 61 has started on the radio, on the OAC, sorry, just a few days ago.
I need to know where this season of the OAC fits into Odyssey canon because things have happened.
Okay. So album 61, it should be before album 61, between 60 and 61, I think, is where it's supposed to fit. In episode numbers, at least, that's where we believe that it fits. Okay, so album 61 began on Thursday, July 14th, with The Feud of Mason County, episode 801, and on that very same day, we, the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast, had our 3rd birthday.
And happy anniversary, Devin.
Thanks, you too.
Did you give me a present?
I didn't know. No cake this time. Not that you would eat it anyways.
I wouldn't.
And the OAC site has had a really big redesign, so go check that out. They've done it all. It's all different now. It looks very like Windows 10-ish kind of thing.
And, like, I've been using the app lately, so I haven't seen it.
Okay, so a lot of the news comes from the fact that last night I was looking around at recent episodes of the official podcast, which I haven't listened to in forever because I'm a terrible podcast host. By forever, I mean like 5 years. Because we're always behind on stuff, so it's like spoilers everywhere, and I don't want to know they spoil too much and stuff. Anyways, the May 11th episode from this year, 2016, they did, as they do at the end of most seasons, a Q&A with some of the producers from that season, and people write in with questions about stuff that happened, stuff that will happen, and there were some big news items that I wanted to talk about. Some of them are things that we already know now, because this was from 2 months ago, but there was some new stuff that I was aware of that maybe you weren't aware of, so let's talk about it. Eugene, because someone asked about why he wasn't in album 60 whatsoever, he was originally going to be there in an episode called Things Not Seen until very shortly, basically 2 weeks before the recording of the episodes. Suddenly, a little episode called Between the Lines, they threw in a subplot with Jana. It became 2 parts, and they're like, okay, Things Not Seen is now an OAC episode. So it was originally supposed to be in the previous album, in album 60, Head Over Heels.
Eugene plays a big part in Things Not Seen. He's one of the main characters in it.
But yeah, so he was going to be in that. So that was originally supposed to be in album 60, got moved to the OAC. So that's interesting. And yeah, as I said, it turns out it was 2 weeks before they recorded that Jana's entire subplot got added to it. So that's how long they had, to write and polish that whole thing, get that all finished and edited and everything. Plus, they needed to get DJ Harner to be Jana and all of that. And oh man.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It was really last minute.
Wow.
This was great. So some girl phoned in to ask where Wooten's new house is, since he sold his land to Mrs. Kramer, but he's already almost rebuilt his house in Between the Lines. And Dave Arnold was like, well, we should ask Nathan, because he was one of the writers. And Nathan was like, well, we should ask Kathy Buchanan, because she wrote the scenes where they rebuilt the house. And Kathy was like, well, Paul wrote the scenes where the house burned down. So in the end, they confirmed that he is in a different neighborhood somewhere else. They didn't say where specifically.
I didn't think he was in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, they already made it clear he wasn't.
Kramer didn't make it sound like
it. But they've confirmed, though, like, he has purchased another plot of land somewhere else and stuff, so that is all it wasn't a mistake that it's happened so quickly and all that. There was a question from a Mr. Austin Peachy.
I wonder who that is.
Yeah. I was thrown at first when they said Austin, and I was like, oh, maybe it's Austin. But then they said he's in Oklahoma, and I was like, oh, so it's not Austin. But then the audio came on, and it was Austin, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he lives in Oklahoma for school now and stuff. And he asked about Jana living in California or Odyssey, if she's going to stay there, and like we thought, Jana's not staying around. However, the writing team did discuss that point, and some people wanted to keep her around, some people didn't. There is still a chance we'll see her back again.
I want to see her again. I want more Jason and Jana interactions.
Yeah. They announced the titles of albums 61 and 62 at literally the same time, which, because we were talking about this recently when we found out the 62 title. So this episode of the podcast, that was the first time they announced the episode or the name of album 61, I guess. And like not 10 seconds later, Kathy's like, might as well tell you 62 too. Why not? And I was like, wow, okay. So they literally just dropped them at the same time. Sure.
Did you know the album 62 title before?
Yeah. We talked about it and stuff.
Do I?
Yeah. Let's put on a show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Nathan said that the finale of 62 will be unlike anything we've ever heard on AIO before, which is
they are going to kill off Whit.
Which is probably because of the thing that we already know about it that Victoria doesn't, but could mean other things. What?
Don't tell me.
I won't. I mean, you
already
took.
Tell me.
I know you already took your headphones out last time for it. It could be because of that, but it could also mean other things as well. Who knows? Kathy confirmed Wellington being at the wedding, and she also said she doesn't think that we've heard. She said that we haven't heard probably, but they were all like very hinting, all of them, that it's gonna happen. We have not heard the last of Mr. Skint, and it may be sooner than we think that he comes a knockin', they said.
No! Mr. Skint is gonna kill Whit in the 62 finale.
Speaking of which, they gave a summary of Old Tricks, which is in album 61, which there hadn't been before that podcast. I skipped over it because I still don't want to know, and because we didn't put it in our predictions episode, because I'm like, no, it's the only one we don't know anything about, or that we currently don't. I know there's info out there, so I skipped over it. I heard Buck's name, and that's it.
Spoiler.
Album 61 will have a bonus track with Kathy showing the funny and moving behind-the-scenes moments in the recording of a very Bassett wedding. Mostly funny.
Is that going to be a video then?
She said. Sorry?
Is that going to be a video then?
No, I'm sure it'll just be regular, like, audio moments from the recording. Dave Arnold talked about writing Pinocchio and how he really wanted to use old audio to fit in cameos from a number of actors who are gone now. So Bernard made it in, and he also wanted to do Tom in there, to do Hal Smith as Whit in there, but in the end Bernard was the only one that really worked out in terms of what audio they had available to use. But there were...
Bernard was so perfect, though. I remember I was eating dinner at that point, and I, like, dropped everything, and I was like, oh, Bernard.
There were, however, plenty of cameos from other live actors, like Earl Bowen, who's in there, of course, and Earl's audio was recorded over the phone from Hawaii, just like it was for his role in Power of One back in album 44.
Didn't he play, like, the...
He did the dangerous haircut in that one. Oh, he was the circus guy in Pinocchio.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then shout out to Nathan Hubler, who, when Dave said they took a Bernard line from an old episode, Nathan said the line, which was, "You must have been a joy to have around as a child," and then he said the episode, which was Suspicious Minds, and then he gave the original context of the line, which was, Bernard Eugene electrifying the fridge. Yeah. So...
poor Leonard and Velma.
Nathan was great. Someone asked about Jack's children/grandchildren, and Nathan pointed out that Jack had that line about all his world's greatest grandpa mugs in Share and Share Alike.
Yeah, in album 23.
Yeah. And then Dave joked that maybe he could have stolen them from someone, or he won them at a fair or something. And of course I was thinking, but he had that line in Seeing Red about how he was a grandparent. And then Nathan said the exact same thing. And I was like,
this is why you and Nathan got along so well originally, before you went on Facebook and you guys were just emailing each other. You're like, I found my kindred AIO spirit.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the important thing that I'm sure Victoria will be very excited about. Nathan said that while we might not ever hear about Jack's kids or grandkids, that we definitively will hear more about Jack's past on a coming episode. And they weren't talking about Journal of Whit. This was already past that. And Dave also said they're talking about doing a book series about Whit's young life. So Dave said to let them know as the writers if you want to see that. So all y'all had better contact them somehow and let them know. Phone, email, Facebook message, I don't care. Let them know you guys want books about canonical Wit's childhood.
You guys don't tell them you want more young Jack and young Wit. I will find you and I will make you tell them.
Okay, so that's our news stuff for today. Yeah, exciting stuff.
Baby Jack. Baby Jack.
It's exciting. So, on to our actual review now. Let's talk about the second OST for the OAC.
OST, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I said.
You said the second OAC for the
No,
OAC.
I said OST. I kind of stumbled over it.
No, you completely ruined it.
No, that's not what I said.
It. No. Rewind it.
So, I will. OST for the OAC.
I know you will.
Okay, so,
can you see I was right?
No, you were wrong. Let's start off. Here's the album art for the soundtrack. And as you guys can see from left to right in order, we have the artwork from Pinocchio, Tale of a Foolish Puppet Part 1, BTV To Tell the Truth, Take It on Trust, The Cure Part 1, and To the Ends of the Earth. So it's the same style as the 2014 soundtrack was, where we have 5 pictures and they're all, these vertical
from the
bands.
Album artwork of the episode.
Exactly. So it's nice that we got that, even though we haven't
forgot what the BTV one looked like. So I was like, why is there one with Connie and Eugene? And he's like pointing at a bulletin board. And I was thinking of like Follow Me. And I was like, but that's not in this season. And that's not what the album artwork was. It was Connie in the dress on the stage, like playing the xylophone. And yeah, then I looked it up.
So here are the 2 descriptions that we had for them. I think one's from the OAC and one's probably from the email newsletter, maybe. So I'll read the first one. You can read the second one if you want. Oh, wait. You don't have...
I don't have them.
So here's the first one. You can read it.
Okay. During the Adventure Club's second season, Odyssey composer John Campbell applied an even broader sonic palette. Yeah. The jungle became both foreboding, To the Ends of the Earth, and dreamlike, Walter's Flying Bus.
They were both foreboding, I'd argue, but...
We felt the swirling chill of Alaska, The Cure, were enchanted by pixie dust, Pinocchio, and pursued truth with the sense of mystery and urgency. BTV To Tell the Truth. That is questionable. Follow Me and Hidden Gems even escorted us on an instrumental tour of the Holy Land.
Yes, and the second description.
Don't make it sound like BTV To Tell the Truth is a hidden gem. You even got the title wrong. It should just be BTV Truth.
The second description. Which Season 2 episode was your favorite? Was it Wooten's 3-part journey to Alaska? Or maybe your imagination took flight with the kids' radio version of Pinocchio? One thing's for sure, none of these adventures would be the same without the music of John Campbell. Starting today, you can relax and relive special moments from Season 2 by playing the music all by itself. Note, All By Myself was in Season 1, guys. Travel to...
I think I re-listened to that, and I was just, like, laughing so hard at all this stuff with the praying mantis.
Travel to Asia, A Daughter's Love. Africa, To the Ends of the Earth, and Walter's Flying Bus. I did actually send Nathan an email about this, and I think it is fixed now, because they said To the Ends of the Earth took place in Africa, which it didn't. It took place in Papua, which is in Asia as well. So I think they have changed that on the OC now.
Yeah.
That has been corrected now, I believe.
Also, Devin, right before we started filming, he messaged Phil? Is that he messaged? About Whit Hertford, who plays Jay.
To ask about that, because I'd forgot to. I said I was going previously. Find out, is he coming back? What's the situation with him? I want to know. I want to know. Anyways, back to the description. ... And The Shores of Galilee, Follow Me. Then listen as composer John Campbell talks about scoring OAC episodes, including Pinocchio, The Tale of a Foolish Puppet. This special collection won't be available anywhere, italicized, but here in the Odyssey Adventure Club. Listen now in the album library. So the most important thing to note first off about this album is that there are only 11 tracks on the soundtrack this time. There's no track for The Cure Part 2, but there are for Parts 1 and 3. So there's only 11 of those, but there is a 12th track, which is an 18-minute interview with John Campbell, which was from the official podcast a little ways back.
I was confused when I saw the Part 1, Part 3, and I had to double check that was correct.
It is
and there
correct.
wasn't something missing.
Okay, so let's start talking through the tracks. Like last time, we'll just kind of like talk about, the instrumentation, the moods, things we liked, didn't like, did it fit the episode. Not a whole lot of
same comment on
not really a whole lot of depth to it. It's kind of hard to really go into detail on.
I have the same opinion for all of them. I think they all represented the tone of each episode really well.
And
the first one is Follow Me.
Just like last time, I've come up with renames for all of the episodes to use.
Oh.
Just like last time.
Sam.
So our first episode is Guess Who Israel Edition.
Wait, let me... I need to pull up the episode list, because I don't know the order, and I don't want to get one wrong. Okay, continue.
So it started out very somber and mysterious, with a Middle Eastern sound, but with hints of those classic John Campbell clarinets. And there was a lovely string interlude, which I recognized part of from the episode, so that was cool. And the final section was a very triumphant bit that featured full orchestra, and it ends on the AIOO leitmotif. It's a really good range of emotion through it, and the ending of it was a nice way to start out like as the first track for the whole album. I really love this album as a whole. One of my favorite things was just how many different like international genres of music that we got from all the different places traveling, because there was a lot less slice of life stuff this time than there was in the first season. Really, the only slice of life sounding track on this soundtrack was Take It On Trust.
That episode wasn't very good. So for Follow Me, I said it represents the episode really well, and it starts off with a Middle Eastern kind of thing, and then it gets a lot more intense as you have like all this stuff with Barabbas and all those other things going on. That has a few slower and sad moments, like when I think it was Joshua doesn't get to like go into the profession he wants to go in.
That wasn't Joshua.
Okay, there's so many of them. Oh my gosh.
It was because Joshua's Barabbas,
James?
Victoria.
James? Was it James?
I think it was James. No. Was it Peter? Was it Simon Peter? I'm really bad with the apostles. I think you guys picked that up during our review of Follow Me.
I think it was Simon Peter. I'm not sure.
It definitely wasn't Joshua, because Joshua is Barabbas.
And then it wraps up with the kids' radio theme.
Yeah.
And so I thought it matched everything really well. I liked the broad range of things it covered.
So the next episode was Jeff Lewis Part 1. This opened on the main theme, with underlying flutes trilling about really excitedly. It's
because they were welcoming Jeff Lewis.
Well, they did until the end of the first part, though. It starts out with a mellow upbeatness, and then it gets playful with a hint of mystery, but in a really light way. And,
just like Jeff Lewis.
And it closes on this wind and like twangy acoustic string bit that has like a country feel to it. It's the shortest track out of all of them, Part 1 of The Cure. But I
only have comments for Follow Me and BTV.
So then we go into Jeff Lewis Part 3, skip over Part 2. So it opens on a much more mysterious tone that turns concerning and dangerous, with horns and percussion.
'Cause they killed the dad!
And light strings repeating in the background. It really turns into what I could only describe it as a hero's journey in music form, because it literally sounds like the music of a hero climbing a mountain almost at the end of their journey, and they're working towards their goal, and it builds with the underlying feeling of their struggle, but also the feeling that their struggle is being overcome as it builds.
That was so poetic, but that's not how a hero's journey works. There's more steps to it than that.
I know.
No, you don't. You're not an English major.
I still know this. I've still read the steps of the hero's journey.
To me, Devin.
Then the music takes a very sad turn. I wonder why.
They killed the dad.
Lewis Scott.
I still can't believe they did that.
I know, with a soft piano leading into mournful strings. And then we come back to a different light country-ish tune, piano combined with some light twang that honestly really sounds like we're at Tom's farm at the end of a long day and Tom's relaxing with Whit and they're drinking lemonade or something. And then it builds to a close and ends on the AIO theme. And this is...
Because nothing says country farm like Alaska.
Yeah. And this is the longest song on the track, but only by 4 seconds. They were a lot closer together this time, I think. Like, I think the standard deviation was a lot lower than the first one. And then we have TV, to tell the truth. No B, notedly. Or just TV, accurate. Truth, like you pointed out earlier.
Yeah.
A really jarring opening for this one. After the last piece, like, it goes right into there.
I liked the opening, actually.
It's wild. It's definitely
I thought it sounded really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely not the regular BTV music, but then again, a third of that title is missing, so... So it opens on some really low jazzy horns, which immediately turn into country strings, which immediately turn into a harpsichord, which immediately turns into, like, official militant-sounding horns, immediately into honky-tonk piano, immediately into more regal horns, and this is all in 17 seconds. And then it holds on that regalia.
And then it just sounds normal for like the rest of the episode.
The vast majority of the piece, basically everything after this, is Harlow's mystery music on a clarinet, bass, and mellow vibraphone, which transitions into the same tune on different instruments, which gives like a more ancient Israeli feel. And then we hold on this for a long time, which makes sense because Harlow was the main, or Harlequin Doilicus was the main story of this episode. The mystery finally reaches a musical conclusion, and then it moves back into modern-sounding tones as we take, I'm guessing it's supposed to be like the court-ish theme for the final scene, I think.
Probably. That was the final scene in the episode.
Yes.
I think I re-listened to it a couple days ago, but I'm not sure why.
And
No, I didn't. I listened to a better VTV episode with Bernard in it.
We had then Jeff Lewis 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Wait, I didn't say
Oh, sorry, what were you thinking for VTV?
So I thought it started off like really cool and unique sounding, but by the end it was just regular and forgettable like the episode. So I thought it summed up the episode pretty well.
The beginning of it was very reminiscent of All By Myself soundtrack from the first year, because that one also had like a very short, quick, changey thing, because I think it was going with Wooten's mixtape that he made for Penny.
I love Wooten's mixtape. That's still my favorite part of the episode.
Billy!
Billy!
Get out your ice cream in the sand!
Billy!
And Penny's like,
let go of your sister!
Penny's like, I think I'm gonna just turn this off. Some quiet meditation. Oh dear, that was really funny. So yeah, next episode is Jeff Lewis 2, Electric Boogaloo. This one had a very sinister opening with a weird, airy ambiance and light rolling crash cymbals, long, low bass drums. The drums have like a tribal feel to them, but it's mainly rhythmic and non-melodic. And then the bongos join in and finally add something in a bit of a higher register. I really like the tone in this one. It matched the episode super well. It very strongly reminded me of the Mist 4 soundtrack in Haven, which is Akinar's Age in the Jungle. It was very similar to that.
You know what's better than Haven, Devin?
Spire.
Spire.
I agree, personally.
Thank you. Those little, whatever they're called, running around Eevees? No, that's a Pokemon.
That is a Pokemon. Very good, Victoria.
Thank you. What are those things? Squeeze.
Yeah, that was Miss 3.
Which also sounds like it could be the name of a Pokemon.
Maybe. A Squeezer in Miss 3, but there were little monkey things in Haven, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's probably what I was thinking.
The beat starts to pick up with more percussion until finally it builds into full-on lead horns coming in, and then it softens with some strings and really light horns.
Because they're like, where's Jeff?
Yeah.
And he comes back at the end, they're like, oh, thank goodness he's back.
Yes, and then other bongos and such join in, and it builds to a very short conclusion. I can't remember if it was this one or not, but I think it was this one or maybe Hidden Gems that ended on an imperfect cadence. And it was really weird. It's like, da-da-da. And then it never resolves, and then it just goes to the next track. And I'm like, all right.
What is this?
This was probably my favorite track, I think, out of the whole thing.
Which one?
to the ends of the earth.
Oh, okay.
It was probably, yeah, I think it was probably this one. J, The Tale of a Foolish Mouse, Part 1. We open on sustained strings and harp that slowly descend and arpeggio upwards. And if I had no idea what this episode was that I was listening to, 90% chance I would say it was opening to a fairy tale, which is a really good thing on John Campbell's part because the music matches the subject very well.
It says pixie dust in the description.
I know.
There's no pixies in this.
I know. There's a fairy.
There's no pixies in this.
There's a fairy.
It's not a pixie, though.
So we move to an accordion, giving a melody with basso continuo, because Italy. And it's a simple, quaint melody, obviously during exposition. And then it switches to little chimes, doing long arpeggios and high-pitched sustained choral. Up in semitones, up and down, that connote magic, I assume. It's the kind of like, mystical sound.
Magic.
Yeah. Things then take a mischievous turn, because J... and the accordion comes back in, and there's a lot of winds around, and everything is either serene or magical or mischievous in that song.
I feel like because Jay sums up a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So the whole song is super fairy tale-y everywhere. And it ends really suddenly. It ends with it builds up on horns, and then there's a caesura, and then there's just a lone muted bwomp on the trumpet.
But how can you be fairy tale music if you're not... Yeah, I was going to say, if it's not Celtic.
Yeah. So it was a good track, and I can see why John Campbell loved it so much, and we'll talk about the bonus track stuff at the end. But, J, The Tale of a Foolish Mouse, Part 2.
You're so uncreative, you didn't come up with different names for the different episodes.
It's the same... It's different parts of the same episode, Victoria. This isn't No Way In, No Way Out. This isn't Eugene Returns Trilogy.
This is whatever we want it to be. You're changing the names.
This one opens up with more heart plucks to get us into story mode right away. It quickly moves into what I presume is the Elvis tribute Viva Las Vegas thing that John talked about in the bonus feature. It has a very Pacific Island feel, makes you want to limbo. And then we transition...
Elvis music makes you want to limbo?
Hawaii music makes you want to limbo.
Oh. Okay, that makes sense.
Transition into a softer flute and glockenspiel thing with a hint of melancholy. What sounds very much like a parody / ripoff of Peter and the Wolf leitmotif, like Peter's leitmotif from it. Very much. And I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. But it's what I think every time I hear it, which has been a number of times now. And then there's some really long glissando harps and lovely deep string stuff, and it's all very nice. With September, we move on to Betcha $10 You Didn't Know These Stories. We open on some faint Middle Eastern strings with distinctive chromatic patterns that sound really Middle Eastern-y, and I don't actually know what they're called, and I wish I did, because I keep on saying, like, it sounds Middle Eastern-y with Middle Eastern-y instruments and stuff like that.
I said Middle Eastern sounding thingy.
Yeah, so. I don't know the instruments or what kind of scales they're called that are used for that, so I'm sorry. Western musical education, what can you do? It's lovely and somber and very keeping in the same localization of instruments, and I really love it. And then it becomes a little more playful and then back to soulful again. And yeah, I really wish I knew the names of any of the instruments here, but it is very truly lovely. Daydreams and Nightmares is the next one. It opens on a really creepy ambiance in the opening, which is not surprising given the episode. And then it suddenly turns more major with these really weird, surreal sounds of floating major chords and marimbas and strings and harps and children.
So what you're saying is it can't
gently
decide what it wants to sound like.
Well, I called it Daydreams and Nightmares, so yes. And children awing gently.
You know what Walter's Flying Bus is like? It's like that one scene from Anastasia where she's like in the dream sequence, but then it's cutting back to the storm. Except for the thing is, that's the best sequence in the entire movie, and it looks beautiful and it's really cool, and the music is amazing, and I listen to that soundtrack, just the instrumental, all the time for it. And Walter's Flying Bus was just bad. That's the difference between them.
Music-wise, there was a nice part in here. We get to a section that actually has a really nice beat to it. There's a maraca, or maybe a Victoria Never Got Back to Me. I'm trying to remember what the instrument is called. I'll find a picture of it. It's a little barrel, and there's like metal beads around it.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were. It took me a while to figure out what you were talking about.
I don't remember.
And by the time I did, I just didn't know what it was called.
I don't remember what it's called, but there's a picture in it, and its name is up on the screen right now. And a marimba.
Tell me once you find out.
And it's really upbeat, but then after a few phrases, it takes a very sudden, dramatic, and dangerous turn. And then it immediately becomes calm again, and I think this all very well reflects the tone of the episode.
Oh no, where were we gonna... Oh, everyone got adopted. Yeah. It's okay, guys.
Yeah, and then at the end it turns really upbeat, and there's light adult vocals and a marimba and a nice bass line, and I'm assuming this is probably the tune for the village at the end where everyone gets adopted. And then it chills out.
Potential wasted.
It chills out and gets a little dreamy again at the end, returns to the A section.
And Camilla's just like, oh my gosh, I'm so good at doing
something. Yes. I'm so good with all of my talents. The best thing about me are my qualities. Which I think we already made that joke.
Yeah,
the One Direction joke during our actual review. Next is Totally Not Mum's the Word, or Not So Trivial Pursuits, or The Sacred Trust, or Melanie's Diary, or You're Too Kind. So this one was probably my least favorite of the album. Which, I mean, I like Slice of Life Odyssey music.
No, but we're asking about the soundtrack, though, Devin.
It's really the only Slice of Life piece on the whole album that really sounds like kind of regular Odyssey sort of stuff. And it's like, which is fine, but compared to everything else, I think everything else shines brighter than it does. This one opens out, it also sounds like it's on Tom's farm with the acoustic guitar and stuff. That usually means the Timothy Center or something, especially in the second epoch. Like, it makes me feel very Paul McCusker, executive producer age, like, or just before, during, or just after Novacom kind of era when I hear it. And then we get one of the Candid Conversations themes, and then some generic Slice of Life wind backing, and the rest of the song is just really normal Slice of Life AIOO.
Like I said,
backing.
All the descriptions for the songs match the episodes just exactly.
Yeah. And then the final episode, which is Album 46, A Date with Dad and Other Calamities. This one is really peaceful throughout the entire thing. There's a soft flute and harp giving a really touching tune. In comes the soft plucking of some East Asian strings because it's in Singapore. And in the last 20 seconds or so, it turns into the slightly more typical Odyssey instrument lineup. This one is probably the most consistent throughout in terms of mood and instruments, because almost all the songs go through like a whole range of emotions, but this one is basically like serene and peaceful through the whole thing.
I mean, like, Daughter's Love has a very, like, even tone throughout it.
Yeah.
So
it makes sense. It's just interesting because most of them, you know, it's clear that with most of them, John Campbell's trying to, like, capture every different emotion from the episode into 3 minutes.
If you, which I know you have, if you watch the videos of them working on Passages, Darian's Rise, and then you see that, like, what he does is he listens to a scene, and then he stops the scene, and then he, like, listens to some parts, and then he composes something they think matches it, and the part they choose is, like, when they fall through the floorboards at the beginning.
Yeah. So those are our 11 songs of the soundtrack itself in there. The average length of the songs this time is 3 minutes and 9 seconds, which is about 19 seconds longer than last time. Which is a good trend, even though we have one less song overall, that still adds up to more music overall, even with the one less song, because the average is that much longer. So that's cool. I can get on board with that, extrapolating forward. And then we have the John Campbell interview. So the interview is unsurprisingly conducted by Bob Smithhauser and Jesse Floria, because the interview, like I said, is lifted from the official podcast.
I didn't know that. That explains why they talked about, like, so much.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering why they didn't just talk about those songs. Because they talked about, like, a very broad range of things from different albums.
It was from the podcast on the day that this soundtrack dropped on the OAC, I think. They came out the same day. So John talks about the process of coming up with cues for the show and how he'll write them as he listens to the episode, like Victoria was just saying, but he refuses to read the script beforehand. He doesn't want to know what's going to happen next, so that as he writes the music, it will reflect the suspense and the emotions that he personally is sharing with the audience at that point. And listening to the episode allows him to work directly with the inflections and the emotions of the actors, along with what's happening to the characters.
It'd be funny if, like, in Green Room Conspiracy, then, at certain, like, tense points, all you hear is just a guy screaming, like, wait, what? 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 Instead of, like, instruments.
It left, like, the external mic on when he was recording stuff.
Who's the villain? Is Penny evil? I don't understand.
He talks about his use of leitmotifs for specific characters and events and situations, which is great because it's like my favorite thing in music. It's one of the reasons that soundtracks are like what I listen to most of the time, and I love things that, you know, really use strong use of leitmotifs to the point where it's like you can listen to the music and you know what's going to happen just listening to the music. That's one of the reasons I love Homestuck music so much, because it does it so strongly. The song from the end of Act 4 uses, I think, 34 different previous songs blended together to make Descend.
Oh, was that the one where they're all attacking?
No, it's the end of Act 4, not 6.
Oh, okay. I think that my two favorite parts of the interview were when he was talking about Buck, because I love my Buck, and also when he was playing the coconut commercial.
Colombian coffee beans, yeah.
That was great. That was really
Colombian coffee beans, ooh. Colombian coffee beans, ooh.
I didn't think it'd be so long.
Yeah. Yeah, he talks about some of the shows that he's particularly proud of, like Pinocchio. Good catch, Victoria, because Victoria kept on commenting during a review about how much she liked the music for that one.
It's because the music was so good.
So that one, it featured tons of music, and specifically, talked about how he used his music to punctuate Jay's jokes, not puncture them. And he talks about the Lone Lawman, which had, like Victoria was saying, a few fake sponsor commercials between the kids' radio recording, where John sang...
Yeah, I think the Colombian coffee bean was, like, the only good thing about Lone Lawman.
He's
like, I want to talk about one little gem, Lone Lawman, and I was like, in whose opinion?
Yeah, but admittedly, I think it was one of the best soundtracks on the first season.
Mm-hmm. I remember us both liking that one and being surprised because the episode wasn't very good.
Yeah, but the music was very memorable from it. I think I said in our review for that one that it had the most memorable music out of the whole season.
I think I said if only the episode was as good as the music.
That is what you said, yes, you're correct. Yeah, so for that one, John sang a 4-part harmony tune about Colombian coffee beans, and they played the full version in the interview, which is not shown in the episode. He pulls apart a particularly odd music cue from a Thanks-Taking story, which involved heavy breathing noises in addition to other odd instruments. The one where it's like a train whistle and like the and like the and stuff in it. It's, I mean, when you hear it, it's like, yeah, that is a really weird cue.
Well, I mean, a Thanksgiving
Thanks-Taking
story. This is just a weird episode.
It was a weird episode. I think
I like it,
it's the most,
but it's really weird.
Like the most pop culture references I think they've ever put in an episode before.
Probably.
It's weird because half of the references were to like famous Christmas things, and the other half were to like set up things from the characters in the beginning of the episode.
You know what it felt like, actually, that episode? It felt like something that would come out of the half episode time period.
Yeah, it was fair. Which is funny because it actually, I think, a Thanks-Taking story was the longest episode ever when it came out.
Yeah, and then I think In My Image beat it.
Well, In My Image doesn't count because it's not a numbered episode.
I re-listened to that episode the other day. I re-listened to it like twice in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I started
finally like it
it
now. I know, we talked about it a couple episodes ago.
No, I was telling the audience.
Yeah, I know. You told the audience a couple episodes ago.
I don't remember that.
And I was like, yay, Victoria finally got taste.
That's not very nice.
So they listened to Wooten's Elvis Seagull scene and Pinocchio without music, and then with the music, which, as I alluded to earlier, was inspired by Jess's Viva Las Vegas line in there, which I guess is a song by Elvis. I don't know a whole lot about his music. I know a few songs, but very few.
Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know the last line.
Wait, you didn't know that song?
I know the last line, I guess. So they delve into some specific leitmotifs by name, I might add, like they actually used the word leitmotif, which I appreciated. And they talk about Buck's theme in the Green Ring Conspiracy, which was, of course, a very memorable one. The
Every single time I heard that in Green Ring Conspiracy the first time, I was like, oh no.
Because it's like,
what's going to happen?
Especially because it means Mr. Skint, too, at the same time. So he talks about picking Americana or Americana instruments in a bluegrass style to reflect Buck's Deep South origins, assuming it is Deep South now because it's such a confusing term. Like I talked about last time, people left comments trying to clarify it. Doesn't make sense, guys. Stop trying to make it make sense. Bob mentions...
Just say the word South.
Bob mentioned... Well, if I say South origins, I mean... Is Buck from Antarctica? Is he from Brazil?
Say Song of the South. You'll offend everybody, and you won't have to worry about offending certain people.
Bob mentions that in Let's Get Together, the episode, as the episode... John mentioned that. Oh, no, it was Bob, sorry. I was right the first time. Bob talks about, in the episode, because the storyline keeps on bouncing back and forth between a lot of characters and perspectives, he could always tell if it was going to cut back to Connie before anyone even spoke because of the use of leitmotifs of the Candid Conversations theme. And they talk about using music set in different time periods, like Drake the Cosmic Copper. And he talks about how he really enjoyed the music for The Lone Lawman, and like I said, must agree that music was by far the most enjoyable and most memorable part of an otherwise not super great episode, Wild West Sausage Fest, as I named it in our first soundtrack review, which is still my favorite name I'll ever come up with for any episode.
What did you name? There was like one episode for Jay, and you named it like... it was like J names for every
it was 30
one.
J's Hath September was the episode, and I called it like Japril, June, and Jovember, I think.
Yeah.
The Labyrinth's music is also brought up, and I really loved how they gave us sound clips to listen to for every example, which, I mean, you would expect them to, because this is talking about music design, but still, it's nice. Love the music from The Labyrinth. It's funny, episodes where you're like, I don't think the music was really that memorable from that one, like, I can't think of it, but then you hear the music, and you're like, oh, yeah, I recognize that. The Labyrinth was like that in that case.
There are characters like that for me. Like, they're like, hey, you know this guy? And I'm like, who's that? And then they show up, I'm like, oh yeah, you're a thing. Just like Philip Glosson.
So, yeah, that is really more of a summary than a review of the album mostly, because I don't really know how we can do a lot of saying in terms of actual review of it. But yeah, overall.
I don't want to rate it.
Overall, it was good. Like I said, yes. Take It on Trust, least favorite. To the Ends of the Earth was my most favorite. Overall, really good. I really loved the mix of different, instrumental styles of locales that we got. Historical periods, all that. Which we did last time too, but it was more so this time, I think. So,
I'm going to rate it 3.5 because I think it reflected all the episodes really well. But some of them had some parts that are a little too typical for me. So
I'm going to give it 4.3. Yeah, it was good.
How come?
To be honest, before we started, I was gonna check and see what I gave the last one and rate this one slightly higher than that, but I forgot to do that, so I'm not sure what I want it to be slightly higher than the first season was, and I don't remember what we gave that. But I think that 4.3 is fair. There's still room for things to improve, for things to get better in terms of the soundtracks overall and variety and stuff. However, it was still really, really good, and I very much enjoyed it. I've already listened through the whole thing like 2.5 times today alone, I think.
Wow.
Because while I was at work, basically by myself, so I was just playing it, my phone in my pocket, external speakers, while I was extracting tiamulin from liver samples.
Lovely.
And, yeah.
Any final words?
I think those were my final words. So, yeah, that's my rating. That was my favorite and least favorite. Those were my thoughts. What was your favorite and least favorite, Victoria?
My favorite, I don't know. I don't know.
Was it? Oh wait, no, because you liked the beginning of BTV, but then it sloughed downhill for you.
It just straight down. I don't know.
All right, well, you gave your rating. Any other final thoughts to say about it?
No. Good stuff.
I definitely like that we had a 19-second increase in the average length of the episodes. It was too bad that we lost one track, which I guess it makes sense given that we had a 3-parter.
I mean, it probably would have been kind of repetitive.
Exactly. I assume that's why they didn't put it in there. And like I said, even though there was one missing, the average length went up so much that we still got more overall music anyways. Plus, we got 18 minutes of bonus stuff with John Campbell talking about the music,
19.
which is always great. Okay.
19 minutes.
19.
I rewatched that yesterday.
So I guess that's all we have to say for today. What are we doing next time, Victoria? That's the one that we were...
Wait, don't.
Everybody.
Mortal Coil Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
And Good Soil.
Correct.
We're reviewing them.
Yeah.
See?
Good Soil, which is the next OAC episode. Mortal Coil Part 1, because we're doing more Wit's life, which technically is kind of borderline whether you could count that as Wit's past.
John Avery Whittaker.
Yes.
It has flashback stuff in it,
It
in
does.
the Imagination Station.
So we counted it. It works.
Plus it has Jerry.
We make the rules. It does have Jerry. I realized from the official guide for that episode actually has every member of the Whittaker family as adults in it. It has Jana and Jerry and Jenny and Jason and Whit in it.
You almost forgot Jason.
Yeah.
You know who else you almost forgot?
Charlotte.
No, I was talking about when you were naming all the writers before.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, that's all for this time, guys. So, we'll let you go, and we'll see you real soon when we talk about those episodes. So until then, thank you for joining us on our side of the YouTube. I've been Devin Francis, also known as Leonard Mounsner.
And I gotta go watch the second Harry Potter movie. Bye, guys.
Bye.